taken my money and multiplied it by 4 by investing in the stock market through Cash App. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, what I did, and most importantly, the fact versus fiction. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, as you see here on the screen, I have invested roughly $1,100 and I've made more than $3,000 by investing on Cash App. So my total is $4,100. Now, this is moving because the market is moving currently, but you see, took 1,000 and now I have 4. How in the world did I pull this off? How does it work? And how can you do something that is similar? Now, what I did, as I'm showing you now and what we've done in the past, is I deposited money into Cash App and decided to buy certain stocks. Now, for me, right now, the majority of these returns comes from Nvidia. I'm sure it's a company you have heard of. However, there is one tiny detail. Actually, it's a really big detail that I did that most people have not done because they don't have a time machine. I invested in Nvidia more than 4 years ago. Like, we're talking end of 2019, very, very early in 2020. This means that none of this happened overnight. I am sorry that I'm not selling you a dream, but there are a lot of Instagram pages and stuff that'll tell you that you can Forex your returns overnight. No, that is not realistic. Okay, so Nvidia was a part of it. Right now, I also own Lam Research Corp, Salesforce. I also have Booking Holdings. We've talked about that stock before, and I brought up Salesforce, Lam Research Corp. So right now, I only have 4 stocks in Cash App, but those are the stocks I currently own. The biggest question is, what stock should you own? That is the most important thing. That's what's going to determine whether you make money, not on Cash App, but anywhere, whether you make money or lose money. And it's the process. What are the questions that you're asking? What are you looking for as you're deciding to buy these stocks? That is what you need to decide for yourself. Now, thankfully, I've given you some shortcuts here on this channel. We have more than 1,000 videos, but most importantly, I have a video on how you can research stocks. I have a video on how you can obviously buy and sell stocks on Cash App, and I have a video on when you should decide to sell. That's another major question that I caught in the comments too. When do you sell it? What do you do with the money? What happens when you do sell? So the question is, actually, you guys have seen me sell, right? You've seen the video on what happens when you sell. That money is now in my Cash App. I can put it in my bank account, spend it, do whatever I choose to. Now, for me, I've sold pieces of Nvidia. I'm obviously not going to sell the entire thing. Why would I cut the tree that's growing the fruit? Okay, but what I can do is trim some branches here and there, take that money and invest in other companies. That's something I do at the end of every year. Okay, that's not, new or novel or anything like that, but I want to continue owning Nvidia as long as Nvidia continues to do well, which I hope is forever and ever. Now, will that happen? I don't know. In 2022, Nvidia did not do well. However, I continue to hold on to the stock. That is just my personal investing philosophy. So it's really going to come down to, again, what you buy, how long you buy it, and whether or not you stick with something. But how do you know whether you should buy something or whether you should stick with something? Here's one tip that I use, okay? And I'm gonna tell you now, nothing in the stock market is guaranteed, but this is something that has worked for me for, 12, almost 15 years now, as I've been doing this as a whole. What I try to do is see whether or not a company is doing better than the S&P 500 and has it performed consistently better than the S&P 500. What is the S&P 500? That's the 500 largest companies in the U.S. So if you are on Cash App right now, or you are looking at your stock app, whatever stock app you're currently using, you can go there and you'll see me do it here. Is go to the top and hit SPY in that search box. SPY, this is going to bring up the S&P 500. And what I'm going to do here is hit 1Y. That's the 1 year option. Right now it's telling me that the S&P 500 is right around 19% over last year. That's how much it gained. So what I'm trying to do is find companies that have consistently outperformed that. What companies have done better than 20% in the last year? What companies have done better than 20% over the last 2 or 3 years? Now, you're not going to find a ton of them. Okay, not every company does that. It's not easy to find a bunch of stocks that do that, but it is possible, right? Nvidia was one of those. I think Salesforce recently had become one of those. Lam Research Corp was one of those. So that is one of my tricks of the trade that I try to find companies that do good, right, and continue to invest in those. What I see a lot of beginners do is just find stocks that are cheap, find stocks that people are talking about on Reddit or Twitter and invest in those. That's not the best strategy, as some of you have learned the hard way, unfortunately, but we saw what happened to AMC. We saw what happened to GameStop. Companies that are on the verge of bankruptcy usually don't make a whole lot of money. So I try to avoid those. I try to buy companies that I can verify. I know they obviously exist. I know they are doing well, and I can see them out in the wild. It's not a requirement, but I know Salesforce. I've seen commercials about Salesforce. I've worked in jobs that have used Salesforce, right? I know Nvidia. I have gaming systems that use Nvidia chips, right? We can see these things. Companies like Mullen Automotive, I've not seen an electric car from that company. That doesn't mean it's not a great stock, but it's not looking good, right? At the time that we're doing this video, it's not looking good. So that's probably a company I'm not going to invest in until it starts to have those receipts. So you want to make sure that you're investing in good quality companies, have a process for choosing those companies, and give yourself time. I've seen far too many comments of people saying, look, I put in $10 and I only made $7. I don't like this. I don't know what to tell you. It is not, I never told anybody that 10 minutes of investment was going to make you rich. No. Okay, that's not how this works. I have been doing this on Cash App for 4 going on 5 years. I've been investing in the stock market as a whole for more than a decade. Okay, it's whether you like it or not, that time is going to pass. I think that is the most important thing that apparently not enough people are talking about. Whether you invest now or you wait 10 years, that 10 years is going to pass. I would rather start to continue to grow my money. The only reason I have 4x my money now is because I started back then. That's it. So your objective needs to be to start now. So in the next 4 or 5 years, you can be somewhere closer or somewhere richer than where you are right now. That time is going to be the absolute most important thing. So what are the things that you should do right now to start to look for the best stocks, start to invest, and how much should you invest? Invest what you can afford. I started this particular account with like $25 a month. That's at the time, I was like, hey, I'm testing out something new. I'm trying it. I've never used Cash App to invest. Back then, this was my experiment. It worked, right? However, I've been investing in my 401k and my Roth IRA and all that type of stuff for years. I started that with $100 a month when I was a teacher, making a teacher salary back in 2012. And as I got older, as I got different jobs, as my income changed, I started to change with it and invest more, which is when we got past that 6-figure mark when it comes to the stock market. We started approaching a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 mark. Now, all of this stuff, I teach in a free class. That's just out there, right? It should be on the screen now. You can sign up for it, and I'll teach you exactly not just how to 4x your money, like we're talking about here, but how to get that first 6 figures through the stock market too. And it is 100% free. You can ask questions, I'll answer or send you an email back if I didn't get to your question. So make sure you sign up for that. Again, it's free, it's there, it's up to you. The other thing too though is, what are the best stocks right now? What are some of the best apps that you can use? We've talked about Cash App, but it's not the only one that's out there. If you're trying to figure out what your research process should be, what stocks you should look at to kind of shorten that research process, then this is the video that you want to watch next.